the opportunities that are there for campus graduates or postgraduates in India, the cycle itself is a little different. People here join in April, May, that's the start of the financial year here. So that could be one of the issues that you might face because your graduation timeline could be a little later. And India campus recruitment is very structured from the employer's side. So they have a set list of colleges that they go to, a set list of roles that they go with, typically. And so it does require some level of finding the right employers who are open to getting talent who has graduated from abroad and is looking at the Indian market now. You could be going about a wrong strategy in applying online, a little blindly, going a bit click crazy and going and applying to any job that comes up for you. We will talk about how to strategize this search in a way that is more conducive to the Indian market. You would also take with you a clear plan on what is the next step that you can do. As we all know, India today is one of the largest global economies. It is growing very, very fast. It's probably the only economy right now which has a booming, employable population, and the kind of market that it opens for a lot of companies in terms of consumers means that as a consumer economy, there are enough number of employment economy also booming because of that. We also have something called GCCs that have seen a big wave of hiring in the last couple of quarters. Today, there are more than 1,600 GCCs operating across the country. If you belong to a non-metro city also, there are chances that you could get placed in a global organization which has its GCC operating in India. What does GCC mean? It's a Global Capability Center. So a lot of the MNCs, a lot of the foreign companies, foreign to India, they're setting up their entire process operations from India. What this means is that it's a multi-diverse, multifunctional center that caters to different functions within the organization. So globally, it becomes the center of excellence for all kinds of processes and functions like finance, accounting, banking, procurement, operations, HR. All of this sits in India, and today more than, I think, 1,800 is the last count, companies internationally have built their GCC in India. Even if it means that you are not from a very large city in India, like maybe a Mumbai or a Delhi or a Chennai, Bangalore, there are enough GCCs today in the tier 2 cities as well. So what that means for your career is don't close off your eyes to opportunities that are there in the tier 2 cities of India, because they will give you global opportunities. At the same time, your cost of living is much lesser, and your exposure is at the same level. You could also find something at a GCC near your hometown, right? So it does open out a lot of possibilities for someone looking to get back to India. What is also very different about the Indian career scene is that the kind of growth that you see year on year in terms of the designation, the compensation package, all of that is very fast. If you're a good performer in India, the startup scene, the kind of dynamism that companies work on, propels you much faster. There are very quick promotion cycles, compensation cycles for people who are good. The hot sectors today, tech and digital, they exist across all kinds of companies. So even on the Talent Connect platform today, you will see that maybe a retail company has an automation kind of profile, right? So there is automation, AI, digital product roles in almost every kind of sector. You have your BFSI and fintech that are hiring a lot through the year almost. In terms of fintech, we have some really large players in India today, and that's a great place again, which has spun off from the typical banking and finance roles. But fintech itself is a very compelling sector to look at in terms of growth. Consulting and startups. Now, startups also, we've had, I think, a huge boom in the kind of startup focus from even the government. So you will see that I think we have close to 2 lakhs of startups, across the country. A lot of them are working on really cutting edge stuff, and it is something that you can evaluate by looking at what sector and what kind of role you really you want to work in. What Indian employers actually want, and you are all coming in with a degree from the UK. Let me say that the field is, the playing field is very level today in terms of the kind of degree or the kind of education that you would have carried, you're coming in with, that is definitely coveted for your skills and what you make out of that degree. So it's not just that your degree on paper looks good, you have to be able to really define how your skills and your profile suits the kinds of opportunities that are there in the Indian market. Okay, so there has to be a role relevance, there has to be practical readiness or some kind of proof of concept of what your skills actually have led you to do so far. So even if you don't have experience, don't worry. We're happy to look at the kind of exposure or some kind of project that has gotten you your skill set, which every employer wants. And what is that typically? It is high commitment, high learnability, and the ability to close out work, to figure out how to get work done. Right? And that is something you can prove even with projects or some kind of proof of concept in terms of volunteer work. You'll have to think for yourself what makes such skills stand out on your profile. The ability to articulate your thoughts and your value with confidence. This is something that you need to be able to bring to the table because, like I said, it's not just what your resume speaks for you, it is what you make it out to be, what your journey has been till now, and how you match, what they want in a candidate. There has to be genuine intent. So maybe for a lot of you, you all wouldn't have thought that coming back to India is an option. But today, if you are looking at coming back to India, that intent has to be very clearly articulated. Don't look at it as a fallback option or a plan B only. I understand that a lot of you will have a lot of factors governing why you want to get back to India, or maybe you weighing that decision. But your intent comes through in any interview, and Indian employers want to see genuine intent, as is the case with any employer, I would say. In terms of adaptability, I think you guys have an edge because you do have the resilience and the acceptance of change just by merely, going to a foreign land for your education. I think that has kind of proved your adaptability and resilience. You have to make sure that you can, project it to the best of what it has got for you. Some of the myths and realities that we will try and bust for you is that, I just mentioned that a UK degree guarantees a premium role. That's not the case where it guarantees it. It certainly opens some doors, but it doesn't close the deal. You have to make it count and you have to get yourself a premium role. I think your participation at Talent Connect is a first step on that. So well done on that. And I hope that your journey continues in a similar fashion. You can start searching after graduation. You don't have to move slowly. You don't have to wait for something like a graduation. You can start reaching out, connecting. And again, Talent Connect is bringing you that opportunity a little earlier than your graduation, which is great. You must get UK work experience first. That's not necessary. Depends on the kind of role that you're applying to, whether experience is important or not. But you don't have to have work experience. Like I said, even freshers are welcome. The kind of role that you apply to is important, and what you bring to the role is very important, and how you project that. Salary, this is something which you guys should be prepared for, that the standards of living in India versus the UK may not always require the same levels of salaries. Okay, so today also we have gotten you all the best opportunities that exist across sectors, but it is at India good college level salaries, which allow you to have a great lifestyle in India, regardless of where you live. But at the same time, within India, also the city cost of living, what's the kind of role that you're getting, how fast you'll grow in a particular company, not just the exchange rate at which you will peg both the kinds of compensations, that should be your deciding criteria. Networking into India from the UK is hard. No, Indians are very open, especially the post-COVID scenario in India. Online networking is absolutely welcome and appreciated. India, I'm going to focus on how you can approach your job search process in India. You will have faster cycles. You may be required to join interview calls very quickly. You may not have enough time between interview sessions. You may be called in the morning saying that you have an interview in the afternoon today. Can you make it? That's how the pace is in India, and it's very common. Your commitment to the process also allows you to show that you are a good, genuinely intended person for such processes. You can reach out to different people, even cold connections on LinkedIn, etc. is fine. You can reach out through via referrals, direct outreach. All of that is possible and welcome. Through the careers pages, through some of these jobs that are there on the ZigMe platform today, you can apply on those as well. You will be evaluated for your immediate skills, the role fit, and the readiness. So you have to prove during the interview process about how you have the skills for that role. Your communication is very dynamic in the Indian sense. It may not be so formal and process driven. WhatsApp is an accepted official means of communication. So you have to watch your WhatsApp for the entire process, and even later on during work. It's a very normal thing to use WhatsApp for basic instructions or coordination. The student approach, you are looked at positively for your proactiveness and the clarity of thought that you have that this is the career for me and this is the role and the company for me. So it's really appreciated. Any kind of clarity that you bring to your job search process. So to get you started on the clarity, I think you have to target 2 or 3 specific roles that you want to do depending on what you graduated in, what's your interest level, all of that. Don't categorize a sector or a kind of company. It is the role that really matters. Build an India-facing CV where a 2-page CV is good for India. You can put a photograph there. You may not put a photograph there. You can build your resume more along Indian standards and have a very clear why India narrative in your head that you've rehearsed multiple times, that you are looking genuinely to come back to India. It's not a fallback. It's not your last resort, right? You can build your outreach. You start your LinkedIn and alumni conversations, attend sessions and webinars such as these, and you can target around 15 companies in hiring for the kind of roles that you have shortlisted for yourself. You can apply in a very focused manner, follow-up. Follow-ups are appreciated. You can do it once in 10 days. You can follow up if you've not heard back. And you should be able to, like I said, factor in multiple things for your final decisions. Don't shop for offers. That is also seen very transparently by the opposite side, by the interviewing side. You should be able to figure out what factors really matter to you, what are your priorities. And in terms of role quality, in terms of compensation, the kind of growth that you will get in an organization, because also remember that the jumps in compensation that you see in the Indian market is much higher than what you would see anywhere in Europe or UK, right? For average performers, usually the increment hikes are somewhere around 8%. If you're a good performer, they go up 20-25%, even internally, right? So I think that is an approach that you need to take for yourself. What is your priority and how do you really make your final decision? Like I said, please use LinkedIn, alumni, ZigMe, WhatsApp actively for your outreach. Um, these are all online channels that helps you to connect from the UK. Your CV and positioning in India, it is important that you keep your India, why India framework in your mind. Okay, have a compelling cover letter or a covering email describing why you want to get back to India, what kind of roles you're looking at, what's your target role. And otherwise, I think the CV basics are the same, where you need to talk about the achievements and what outcomes you've actually driven in any of the work that you may have done, be it, like I said, project based, voluntary, anything that you've organized for your school, college. You need to figure out for yourself what really drives your skills onto your resume. Yes, Indian employers do want UK graduates, hence Talent Connect today. You may not earn more with a UK degree right from the beginning, but the kind of acceleration that your career sees will eventually get you very fast on level playing field. You don't need to get UK work experience first. You need to get your narrative very right. I think that is very important. And even if today you don't get a role at today's event, don't worry. It is the start of your job search process for many of you. And the next 4 to 6 weeks, you can be in touch and be a part of talent pipeline for the companies that you see today, right? Quick one on what you can do after today, and then we get into the questions bit. You can follow up with the employers that you speak to today. Maximize the opportunity to talk to as many employers as you can today. Please reach out to the employers that are there on the platform. They may or may not have the role, but you can look at the role, the sector, the kind of company. You should be able to have an informed choice, right? And today is a great day to get that information for you. Create your India job tracker and list down your 15 target companies that you really want to apply to. Please optimize your LinkedIn for India. LinkedIn is very heavily relied on. As soon as your resume reaches a recruiter, the recruiter will check out your LinkedIn. So even in your PDF version of the resume, please have a clickable LinkedIn profile ready, and you can put it that you're open to work and you're seeking roles within India, on LinkedIn also. You can send out your personalized messages over the next month or two, and focus and prep for your interviews thereafter. Yeah. I think what is very important for all of you is that you need to tell yourselves first, convince yourselves first, and then whoever you meet in your job search process, that India is a proactive, a very informed career choice that you're taking, right? And it is because of the way India is looked at globally today and the kind of opportunities that are there over here, which I think once you start, or if you're continuing to research on this, you will also agree that the kind of opportunities and doors that can be opened in India are immense, and they actually fit everyone's choices. So you may have different diverse thoughts about your career, but they can be fulfilled here. Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I think I will end the presentation here and come back to the screen so that I can see y'all and take questions. I think there are a few in the chat, right?
Thank you so much, Rima. That was really interesting and insightful. I know that a lot of students have learned so much more and can position themselves better right now. Let me just read the questions on the chat box for you. One of our students has written, as a BA Business Management graduate from the UK with international exposure, what are the most in-demand entry-level roles in India currently for candidates like me? And how can we position?
Can I take that question?
Yeah, please, Shubha, because I'm still trying to look for it. Okay.
Yes. So see, this is precisely the sort of positioning that you should avoid. Like, there is no mention of the sector or of his interest or what he has done, right? So you cannot just go around asking or shopping for just entry-level positions in any field, right? So essentially, most Indian students, you make that mistake when you go to an employer and you say that I'm willing to do any job. right? It does not come across as being very prepared, number one, because it means that you have no idea what you want to do, right? And you are expecting an employer to be your career counselor. We are not here to do that, right? So we are not talking about the most in demand entry level positions, right? But what you are actually suited for. Yeah. So the number one thing that you should actually do is, when you look at, Rima spoke about, having those 15 or 25 companies that you actually want to work in, right? And you should target those companies. Now, how do you arrive at those target is very important. So, like, we have all done Venn diagrams, right, in our school. So, essentially, what you mean is that you take what you're qualified for, or what you're studying, right? And whatever your interests are, and what is most important to you. So for you, it could be money, or it could be experience in a particular sector, or it could be working for someone that you think is very inspirational, right? It could be anything. It could be very personal. Wherever all three meet is the kind of industry that you should actually apply for. So there are no hot jobs now. What is hot today can be cold tomorrow. So do not just go by what is in trend, but I would rather you choose what you are capable for, right? And because that is how you're going to last longer in any organization, not going for the trendiest job which is right now, which is there right now.
Right, right.
I think the first step for everyone is introspection and what really works for you. I think that is, a summary of what we've been saying. Yes. Yeah, Ekta, should we move to the next question?
Yes. The next question is, how do we suggest to apply for HR roles back in India having previous experience? And how? Yeah, I think the other question, part of this question is answered. So if
Yeah, so I think Dhriti has asked this question, right? For HR roles specifically, correctly? Correct? Yeah. So, Dhriti, generally HR roles across organizations will look at experience profiles itself. So, what I would suggest is please go through some of these opportunities that you see, and directly apply. LinkedIn is still a good place. You can also apply through connections on LinkedIn. So please write to the TA heads or HR heads of the firms that are hiring for specific. Within HR also, you would know what you want to do, I'm assuming, be it business HR or recruitment or OD or talent management, whichever part of HR. And depending on the roles that you see on LinkedIn, it's a good place to start. You can go to the careers website and apply directly over there as well, and network with HR folks. Yes.
amazing. I think we'll just take another one or two questions, and after this, I'll just like to inform the students that you can also reach out to us on the ZigMe booth. You can reach out to us on the Talent Connect booth with your questions, and all your questions will be answered. Apart from that, do go and visit, because I've got a few questions on how to reach out to employers. For that, you can go and visit the employer booths on the lobby. If you press on employer booths, you can go and visit on these employer booths and chat with each employer, and also book one-on-one conversations with them. So please do check that part of it out as well. I'll just read another one question. Could you give us some examples of sectors, roles that are more or less interested in the UK?
Like I said, I won't say that there is a generic sector that is more interested in the UK, and it is seen as pretty much what the candidate brings. It doesn't matter which college or which geography they are, actually graduating from. So, we can't pin it down to specifically the kind of sector. However, I would say that roles such as sales and marketing, business development, also AI automation, these are all roles that are hot and at the same time across industries, and I think there is an edge to having a degree which has taught you the domain subjects on this very well, or has brought out the skills, like for instance in BD or sales or B2B kind of sales and marketing. I think if your degree or your education abroad has brought out the best in those skills for you, then those are the roles that really will look at you with an edge over others who may have not left their country, gone somewhere else, and built those skills for themselves. So I think it's more roles where probably most of the international students will have an advantage, not really the sector particularly.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for that. I think we'll just take a last one more question. What about, I'm a recent graduate and currently doing a part-time job in the UK. I'm on my graduate visa. He just wants to know if Indian job markets count part-time experience, like if you're part-timing in Subway or you're Domino's, something like that. Is this counted in India?
It may not be counted for getting you the specific role that you want. I'm not saying that all roles will say that yes, this is relevant experience for me and I can hire you at a particular role. However, it is counted as a differentiator for you on your resume versus someone else who may not have had part-time experience. So you will see that any experience that you've had in the real world, working anywhere, is valued by almost every kind of employer. They expect you to be able to talk to customers. They expect you to be able to close things, to make effective reports, or be able to articulate what drives you. I think these are things that you stand out, and it's without an interview that you can show your resume that you have part-time experience, and that speaks for you, and that gives you an edge over others.
Yeah, like Rima said, it's a level playing field as far as education is concerned, right? Everybody's got the same degree and the same exposure. So where do you stand out? It's through all these small things.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for that, Rima. Thank you, Lakshmi. I think this was a very engaging question. We did cover a lot of questions. But if any of these questions have been missed, like I said, please do go and chat in the ZigMe and the Talent Connect and the Student Circus booth and Info Desk. We are all here to help you out throughout the day. I hope you have the best, most engaging conversations with the employers out there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you at the ZigMe booth, yeah? Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Ekta. Thanks, Shiva.
Thank you, Rima. Thank you, Shiva Lakshmi. We can end the session.
Document, and I urge each one of you to read it. It gives fascinating insights into how people in rural India, hinterlands actually use products. And there have been actually product modifications and product introductions that have been done by Unilever for these particular segments. Tech-enabled route to market. Now, this is a very interesting piece and something which is very close to my heart. Distributor management services systems in India, for example, are rampant, but we see AI entering it in a big, large way. And what is most important today? What is the chief currency today? The chief currency today is not only capital, it's also data, it's also information. AI-led distributor management services provide that. And how do they provide that? By giving visibility into secondary sales. When I say secondary sales, companies supply to distributors and distributors then supply to their customers. The distributor to the customer piece is what is called secondary sales, and that is very, very critical for the company to understand what is happening on the ground, how do they project whatever sales they want to do and forecast accordingly. Brands like Marico and Dabur, two companies that have worked with briefly, have leveraged Salesforce automation to optimize routes. So which salesman goes in what route, in which town, which city, depending on weather, depending on seasonality, has really led them to plug gaps and gain volumes in competitive categories. Having said that, as leaders or as future leaders, there are some imperatives in 2026 for all of us. For all of us, meaning people who live and breathe in the FMCG space. Uh, our most important deliverable for any organization as leaders is margin. And we need to work incessantly on margin preservation. But while we do that, we should not be narrow focused and focus only on a couple of channels or a couple of businesses or a couple of markets. We need to have a much more inclusive growth. And how do we do that? We have to first understand that India, which is the world's fourth largest economy, does not have a traditional pyramid anymore in the consumer space. The top of the pyramid, the middle of the pyramid, and the bottom of the pyramid. It does not have that. With the vast increase that has happened in the middle class and a category which is growing by itself, what we see in the market is that the traditional pyramid of consumer base in India is slowly becoming a diamond with the burgeoning middle class. What it means is people have more money to spend, they are ready for premiumization, and what it has as an effect in the context of FMCG is that, take the example of Amul, right? We in India, Amul is a huge brand, right? Milk products. But what have they done in the last 5 to 6 years? They figured that the middle class has money, they have access to information, they are well traveled, they have social media posts being seen every minute, and therefore they have Amul has entered the premium space by launching premium desserts, by launching flavored milk. And all these products have not taken the traditional time that you would have taken for establishing. So it's not a 10-15 year journey, but it's probably a 3 to 5 year journey in terms of roping in the monies. And all this with ensuring that the margins don't get diluted. Supply chain resilience and localization, there is no point talking about doing business if the product cannot reach your customer, and supply chain does that for you. How do we ensure that the right product is produced or rather supplied at the right place at the right time, which also means that somebody needs to have done the forecasting to ensure that the product is manufactured at a particular time at the particular factory, which means the raw material and the packaging material all need to be at the same place at the right time, which means that taking into effect all that is happening in this world right now, we need to mitigate raw material inflation, packaging material inflation, and ensure that the right mix of products is available at the right place. Now, Reliance Consumer, for example, has gone really deep into the localization bit, especially in South India, where they've established food parks. They're manufacturing everything from snacks to beverages to suit the local requirement of the population in South India. And this localization, as we call it, might sound very simple, but the amount of effort it would have taken for the supply chain to ensure that they have the right ingredients to go into the products is really massive and needs to be recognized. And all this has been simplified by the use of AI. Traditionally, forecasting was guesswork. It then became a job of including guess as well as data. Then it strongly became a data-driven piece. But now, combined with data with AI, it's giving us really solid inputs in making those decisions. Talent and digital transformation. You, of course, need people on the ground to sell, right? As much as companies would like to claim that they have large brands, if the brands are not available at the right place at the right time, and if they don't have the people to sell it, it doesn't make any sense. So, when I work here at my organization with about 200 odd people on the ground who are developing the business for me, I need to know what does it takes what it takes for them to go to the market and sell, and therefore we rely a lot on digital tools, just like every other company does. What it helps is reduce any kind of friction in the market and gives us people who are engaged and work for a longer period of time, and the attrition is therefore managed. And believe me, in a country like India, which is growing leaps and bounds, uh, job options are available in the morning, in the evening, which means people have options to switch as and when they want, and therefore attrition becomes a big issue for us. And what technology helps is they provide a platform where friction between what you're supposed to do and what is expected to be done gets reduced, and therefore attrition is taken care of. Digital transformation, I guess we have seen many examples, but one particular thing that comes to our mind is the fantastic work that has been done by ITC, where they have taken to digital means to streamline the procurement right from the farmer, uh, right from the field to the basket kind of a piece, where they have done massive amount of work in terms of integrating their entire supply chain, ensuring that supply chain is transparent as well as quality is maintained, which is very critical for brands in the FMCG space. So that, in short, ladies and gentlemen, is my piece. Thank you so much for your time.
We are happy to take questions in case anyone would like to use the chat and ask something.
Thank you so much, Sashi. It was really interesting and engaging session. I'd like all the students to please share any questions you have in the chat.
Thank you, sir.
If you have any questions, you can please share it in the chat.
If you're speaking, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
We have a question here. How can I look for a job in the Indian job market after coming back?
Okay, pretty straightforward question. Let me answer it in two ways. You can look for a job in the Indian job market, two ways: cold calling, sending resumes to HR folks, either on LinkedIn or directly writing to a company. Every website has a contact us page. People believe it doesn't work. Believe me, it works. I work at a company called Diversity, where we get at least 5 to 10 resumes every week, and we look at them 100%. Right? Don't never underestimate that. The second way of doing it is that today, again, through technology, if you connect with the right people, there are, for example, a lot of WhatsApp groups that float around. These WhatsApp groups are compartmentalized in such a way that you have people who are less than 2 years, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years. Somebody wants to work in FMCG in Delhi, somebody wants to work in the consumer research space in Hyderabad, WhatsApp groups are prevalent. You just need to Google and find it out, and they will get connected. If you are somebody who already has experience, right, then you need to necessarily follow this first route again, sending direct mails. But you also need to connect with headhunters, right? Now, connecting with headhunters is a slightly tricky problem because they are inundated with requests every time, every day, I would say. But you need to make a effect, right? You need to make an impact. So maybe making a short video of your experience and sharing it, a professional video, not a Instagram reel, would really help, right? In addition to the resume that you have. So that's my piece on how can one look for a job. How can we connect with Indian employers on LinkedIn? As I mentioned, I think the first thing that you need to clear in your mind is what is the kind of company that you would want to work with. And don't only think from what the company can offer you, but also think from a perspective of what you can offer the company. Right? You might have had a past experience working in the UK or elsewhere, and if you see a gap in the Indian market which you would want to, I would use the word exploit with the company. Why not? Connect with the mid management rather than the top management or the bottom management, because the mid management is more likely to respond to messages. The top management might not. So first make a list of all the companies that you want to speak to, and then figure out who works where. It's much easier on LinkedIn now than earlier, and then you can connect with them. I'm taking the next question. Can you explain the difference between the job roles of business analyst, project management, and product management? Okay, interesting. Business analyst is pretty much, for lack of a better word, a back-end job. You work on data derived from sales that has happened, from market trends that have happened, and then you arrive at a decision for the entire organization to take or the sales team to take. And it's a pretty important job, let me put it. Project management, I'll just get to the point in a bit. Product management is all about marketing, brand management, pricing, route to market, go to market, all those pieces, right? So business analyst works on understanding the data better, giving insights. Product management is about the same thing, about the product. Where does the product have to go? If I'm launching a pack of biscuits, should it be 8 pieces or should it be 10 pieces? Should it be 20% off? Should it be 10% off? Should it go to supermarkets? Should it go to mom and pop stores? All those are things that product management needs to take care of. And once the product is defined, how do you market it, right? Do I traditionally go to TV, radio, internet, social media, etc.? Those are the things. Project management in the context of an FMCG company could be anything. Now, could be a launch of a new product, could be launch of the same product in new geographies, could be launch of a factory, right? Or could be we spoke about distributor management services, could be implementation of distributor management services. So project management is a very, very different business. So insight for freshers or people who are on the call, if you are a person who's extremely number oriented, who likes digging into data mining and then coming out results, business analyst is your job. Product management is something, if you are okay with working in a particular sector, in a particular group, in a particular category, and making the most out of it, product management is the piece for you. Project management are people who like to straddle across all functions and work. If you like variety, if you like spice, then that's probably the way to do it. Yeah, that's my answer. In India, what is GCCs? Can you explain a little bit in detail? Global Capability Centers in India is what is GCCs. A lot of companies across the globe have GCCs in India, for example, Pepsi, Amazon. What these companies do is there are back-end operations of most of these large FMCG companies. I'm speaking from the FMCG perspective. For example, we have a GCC in Hyderabad, right? Diversity, Sonia has a GCC. They take care of all our backend work, which would have taken a lot of time and energy from from our team. Accounting, financial working, financial planning and analysis, uh, payroll management. Uh, Things which are important for any organization to operate but are always on the fringe are given to these GCCs and they can work. Now, folks on the call who have a specialization in, let's say, uh, business analysis can definitely look at a GCC. People who have a way of working around tech, who can develop tech for specific requirements of FMCG companies, can definitely look at working in GCCs. It's a big space in India, and frankly, it is growing by the month. We in India are extremely. If you read news on Google, etc., you'll find that India is becoming a huge GCC hub, and it is continuing to be. What really works for GCC A is the population that we have, and second is the English speaking capability, and third, of course, in India there are a lot of intelligent people around, so that really helps. Uh, Mr. Bhavani Shankar,
Thank you so
Sharma.
much. Yes, we
Do I
can
end?
No, we'll take that question, then we'll end. It's all right.
Okay. How about building a SaaS operational company, respective sector in India market after building a UK Indian professional expertise? I think fantastic. Go for it. It's a very good idea. Nothing stops you from doing it. India is a land of opportunity and enterprise. I think you should go ahead and do it. Yeah. There are a few questions, but I think we don't have the time, right? Ekta? Hello. Hi, am I audible? Okay. So, Ekta, let me know when I need to stop. Come over time. I'm reading the next question. Hi Shashi, I'm currently studying BA Honors Business Management and have experience through a marketing internship. Good. I'm interested in business operations and marketing. Okay. And I eventually like to move into a product management career. Could you please advise what entry level roles or pathways you recommend starting with to build towards product management? This question is a very good question, relevant question. I would highly suggest, highly recommend rather, people who have such experiences or are starting their careers to first get their entry into business development or sales at an entry level, work on it, and then move ahead. Product management or marketing does not come easy. Specifically in your case, you have experience in marketing interns as a marketing intern that would really help you build on your sales capability or rather your capability for the future roles by actually doing sales. So please get into sales roles at the start, work on it for at least a couple of years and then move ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I got logged off there due to a technical issue.
No worries.
Slowly. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Shashidhar, for your time. It was such a grounded, insightful session. Your perspective on what it takes to actually lead and scale operations in India today was extremely valuable for all students who joined in. I'm sure our audience took away a lot from your experience. We really appreciate your time for joining in today. For the audience, I'd just like to say if you have any further questions, please do visit the chat info desk or the Talent Connect chat box, and all your questions will be answered there. Thank you so much, everyone, for
I've
joining
also
in.
shared, thank you so much, Ekta, for your time and for the kind words. I also shared my email ID just in case somebody wants to write to me.
I think it's come only to the panelists. I'll share it with everyone. 1 second.
Thank you so much. Everyone on the call, take care, be good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So I want to do two things today. First, I have four questions that I wish someone had asked me before I moved back. And second is give you a little bit of insight on building in India. And I know some of you might be thinking about, having your own startup or working at a very young startup. And as a founder, that is probably the best education I have ever got. And I think there were a lot of learnings for me, even as someone who had moved back to India. So I started molecular biology. I studied molecular biology with this lofty dream that I'd cure cancer. I interned at the UCL Cancer Institute and discovered somewhat inconveniently that I didn't love research. So I pivoted to public health at Columbia, joined EY, and I loved consulting. I was there at the right time. Obamacare was being rolled out, so I had a front row seat to the healthcare system and how it was reinventing itself in the US. But by 2018, I knew two things. One was that I did not want to be a consultant forever. I wanted to build, and I wanted to build in India because that is where the problems were making sense to me. Like some of the problems to solve for in the US were not necessarily making sense to me. So I moved back and started Naima, which was a virtual care app for pregnant and postpartum women. Now, I want to spend a minute on this startup, Naima, and give my 2 cents to anybody who's thinking about building in India. And honestly, this is the part that you might not hear from everybody. So, the official reason why Naima shut down was that we didn't find product market fit. It was a lot harder than we thought. Fundraising was harder than we thought. And eventually, my co founder had to leave because he couldn't continue working without any pay. All true, but the lessons underneath those were that one, if you are building and looking to build for in India a startup, choose your co-founder wisely. You will spend more time with this person than you will with your family. You'll make high stake decisions together when you're tired, broke, scared, when things are going great, when things are going bad. Work with them on something hard for 3 to 6 months. Disagree on purpose, see how they behave. Co-founder split is probably one of the biggest reasons why startups don't work. And as people who have studied abroad, when you come back, you either are reinventing relationships or you're creating new relationships. So don't jump into something just because it feels like you're both excited about an idea together. There's a lot more to a co-founder than just being excited about an idea that you want to build on. That is also important, but you know what I mean. Second is, you don't have to have a co-founder. If you're going solo, one of the things that everyone told me was to find a mentor. And mentors are great. Mentors, give you advice, you learn from their experience. But at the end of the day, they give you advice over coffee and they go back to their own lives. What you actually need is a network of people that you can work with, that you can hire. And what I mean by that, a designer who will build your first mock-up, an engineer who will take your call at 11 p.m. to fix a code, an ops person who has done this before and will join you at a 40% market salary because they believe in you. Start building that network 2 years before you think you need it. If you don't think I didn't have that network when I moved back, I should have ideally spent time building it before I started my startup. So if you think you don't have that network in India, build it. And the third thing is that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So don't go by what you hear in press. It takes 7, 8, 10 years for the company to become real, to start having some meaning, and you have to be ready for that. Lastly, the founder life is fairly glorified. So you don't always see the reality. You're tested in many ways as a founder. So before you take the plunge, talk to two, three actual founders, not the ones who are, on stages at conference, but real founders who are building something, who will speak to you over a drink and ask them about their work, but also ask them about their relationships, their life, their financial decisions. Be very, very ruthlessly honest to yourself about your finances when you do this. How much of a personal runway do you have? Do you have 12 months, 18 months? What does your family expect out of you? Do you need, what is that situation like? So take some of these very real views of what it is to build in a startup, especially in India, because I feel like things work very differently here, and I'll get into that as well. While it is the best thing that I did, honestly, I don't think that any degree, anything else would have prepared me for my job as well as this experience did. I just think that everyone should go in with eyes open and not with some, glory Shark Tank version in their heads. Now moving on to those questions that I said I wish someone had asked me about moving to India. One of the main questions you should ask yourself is, are you moving towards something or are you moving away from something? So, is it the visa stress, a UK tough job market, homesickness? What is your real reason to move? Are you moving away from all of these things? Or are you moving towards something that is, whether you have some kind of a family business waiting back, or a real, and family could be a real reason to move back as well. So what are you moving towards? What is that purpose? What is the primary goal that you want to kind of achieve? And that could also be family relationships, and that's fine. But be very clear in your head as to what you're moving away from and what you're moving towards. It doesn't have to be like something crazy big. It can, for me, it was I wanted to work on a problem that mattered to the Indian audience, or that mattered to me in an Indian setting. You could just want an experience working in the job market in India, but have a purpose of why you're moving. Don't just kind of move because you're moving away from things. Some of you might not have a choice because of the situation with visas and things like that. Then find that purpose. Like, spend some time, give yourself some small steps and goals towards finding what that purpose for you will be. What is it in India that you're moving towards? Second is understand what's the actual pay cut, and can you live with it for 3 to 5 years. So if you have friends who are working in the UK, even after adjusting for cost of living and stuff, like Bombay or Bangalore or some of these places are expensive lifestyle wise. You gain a lot because you get help, family, there's food, weather, many other things, just being home. But financially, for the first 2 or 3 years, you likely save less than your friends in the UK. And that bothered me, okay, that mattered to me. But I had to reframe that for myself. I realized that I wasn't optimizing for the next 2 or 3 years of earnings. I was optimizing for my career and for the next 10, 15 years. In the market like India, where things are growing so fast, your early operator experience compounds in a way that is, much higher than how your salary, say, would compound in a city like London. So that experience then obviously adds to things. So my experience as a startup, where I obviously was earning negligible amounts, then to come to Noah, where I found my footing, and now, I'm seeing that gain in terms of whether it's financial, whether it's experience wise, whether it's value add wise. So everywhere, in all my circles, when of what I wanted to achieve, with, which is solving a problem in India, obviously making some money, um, and gaining experience. Now they are kind of coming together. So it took some time to get my footing, but I eventually got it, and that is sort of my goal. So be patient and know how many years and what you can actually, risk, and how much risk appetite you have, I guess. Also understand, like, which India are you moving to? So, do you have a family business to come back to? Are you going to do a startup like I did? Do you want to work at a, in multinational, like a banking, consulting kind of a place? So, whatever it is that you do, just understand that in India, the hours are different, the politics is different, the ceiling is different, the learning curve is different. Before you accept any offer, I highly recommend you go and talk to two or three people in the company that you plan to join. If you're going to do a family business, be clear about what role you're going to play, how much freedom you will have. If you want to join, if you want to build a startup, then I already mentioned a couple of things. Be very clear about your risk appetite and how you want to build it, etc. I myself, when I moved back, I went and interviewed at Ernst Young India office. Seemed like a very obvious shift because I could just go work at Ernst Young. But when I actually went to the office and spent like a couple of days there, I realized that that was not for me. And if I wanted to come here and the goal was to build a startup, then I should just build a startup.
And Saloni, it seems that people have really caught on to your point of working hours and they want to know what does usually a working hour mean when it comes to coming back to India.
So working hours honestly differ again. If you are working at hours are different. So when you're working in a family business, you have more autonomy on your working hours. At a startup, working hours are very fluid. You don't necessarily, depending on what position you are at, if you are in a leadership position and that's what you want to do, or if you're a founder, you don't necessarily switch off. And
So,
that is
sorry, please continue.
and that is not necessarily a bad thing. If you're passionate about what you're doing, what you're building, then you wouldn't necessarily find the need to switch off. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a work-life balance. I still work out every day. I still find time on weekends to meet friends, family. I do all of that. I just plan my day better. And I know that if there are certain days when things are very busy, then I have to give those hours. Since I haven't worked in corporate India, I don't can't speak to that. But I have a lot of friends who work in corporate India, and I can say that the hours are pretty intense even over there.
So, there are a few questions. Somebody mentioned what is the biggest reality shock that we should look out for once we are coming back to India?
So for me, the biggest reality shock. So there were two. One was when I went to the Ernst Young office and I realized how different EY New York was from EY Mumbai. For me, that was a big change, and not. I mean, I'm not fussing about. I mean, I wasn't too fussy about work hours and stuff. I was young. It's not like US had any better work hours. Honestly, I was still working Saturdays and Sundays even in the US. So that wasn't not that I'm saying EY Bombay expected me to work every Saturday, Sunday. I'm just saying I think the work hours were pretty similar. Sometimes you gotta work longer hours. Sometimes you get done in a decent time. But it's the work that they were doing. So for me in healthcare in India, the most of the companies were family owned. So your Apollos, Nepal, a lot of these healthcare fortress, they were all like family owned companies back then. So they weren't doing so much consulting work. So if you were in, if like, I have a friend from banking who moved from Deloitte, New York to Deloitte, Bombay, and he's really having a great time. He was on track to become a partner in Deloitte, Bombay. And that is because he was in the fintech space and that was going crazy. That was growing like crazy at that time. That's when like in all these UPIs were coming into the picture. So many fintech startups were growing. So he had and even the banking sector was evolving. So he had a very different experience at Deloitte than I did in healthcare. So it's important that you see the real, which is why I said go and speak to people there and understand their hours and understand their work, because that was a shock to me to see what was happening in healthcare here. The projects were really like vendor consolidation and margin improvements and stuff that I just never imagined EY New York would like the US EY would never do. Those were a lot more strategic projects. So I didn't find that I would gain much from the projects here. So that was a shock. Work hours and stuff honestly is not a shock. If you're working at a good startup, you have a good boss, like manage expectations a little bit depends on you as well. But the kind of work that is happening, be very clear what you're getting into.
Right. There's somebody who has worked in India for 3 years and then they moved to UK for their post grad or masters, and now they want to come back. So they want to know what kind of roles should they be targeting themselves to, land into.
Honestly, it's hard to say without any kind of knowing any kind of background per se, in what sector you have been, or what you studied in the UK. So
There was somebody who also, yes, I absolutely agree. There's someone who's asked that has the startup world evolved in India? Has there been a change from the phase where everybody wanted to be on Shark Tank and how it is now? And
the
I think
startup
personally,
world has evolved tremendously in India. From the time that I first actually did my startup was right after I tried at my hands at a startup was right after my undergrad. And I kid you not, I had we were two girls trying to build something, and we went for an investor meeting. And one of the questions we were asked at that time was, when are you guys going to get married? And no investor today would even think about asking that question. So as a woman, one, there is a lot more opportunity and a lot more acceptance than there was in, like, say, 2011. The kind of risks that investors are taking in India is getting better. People are accepting startups a lot more. So, I'm in the consumer space today at NUA, and the consumption in India has increased so much. If something as simple as if I earlier had, like, say, one moisturizer and sunscreen as my skincare thing, and I'm not someone who does a lot of skincare, I have, like, say, 4 or 5 bottles today, right? And most of them are not like multinationals or legacy brands. They are all startups. So just I'll speak to my space in the consumption D2C space. So much of what I am personally using, what my friends are using, and that is part of the reason why NUA has got the growth that it has. It is because, one, the consumer is accepting, the investors are investing, and there are people building for the right reasons. We are all, like, at NUA, building for the right reasons. We are not building just a bad company to get an exit. We are now building to see period care get better in India. So if you do some of these things, you're building for the right reason. Everything else follows through. The money will come, the customers will come. You just have to make sure that you're building for the future of India. And I think that in India, like, the growth is just tremendous, and I'm sure some of the other panelists have given you an idea on that as well.
So we'll take this one last question. Somebody has asked that what was the fourth question that you wish someone had asked you?
Yeah. So I'm glad somebody somebody was listening. That basically means somebody was listening. No, so the fourth question was do you have a 24-month plan and what if it doesn't work? So I was a bit lost when my startup didn't work. Wasn't sure what to do. And it just kind of felt like, oh, I must go back to the US because I have no idea what to do here. I can't work at a corporate here. That's just not because there's not much happening in healthcare. And I panicked a lot. And I know it kind of had a big toll on my mental health as well. So I think one of the things that would have kept me calm is to kind of have a plan. I always moved back knowing that I could go back to India. I mean, all of you, if you have, work, you are at good universities, you've done good degrees, just know that if you ever want to move back, just this channel is there. It might be a little harder than what it is today, but that door does not close. If you try hard enough, you'll figure out a way to find a job there. So don't let immigration laws run your lives. Plan this 24 months. Give yourself a good enough time to come and give this a shot, and then take wise decisions so that you are not in this space where you just lose your confidence and you're feeling like helpless and not sure about what to do next. Have a very clear 24 months and give it that much time. If you're someone who can't decide if you want to be here or there, you have to give it enough time to. So I wish someone had asked me what my 24-hour, made me make a 24-month plan at least. And not that anything will go to plan, but it's just that if things are going well, you don't look at the plan. But when things are not going well, that plan is everything.
Well, thank you so much for this, Saloni, for your honest insight and the story of coming back, the international exposure, and how you took that exposure and made something meaningful out of it. And I'm sure we all are inspired and we can relate to it. Thank you so much for your time.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Legal tech is also like a big industry now. So I'm quite curious as to whether, because technology is a very interesting area, and there are opportunities, of different sorts in that sector. So I don't know what specific opportunity you have.
Module. I think she's covered, as she's saying, she's covered a few different modules during her course.
Okay.
But if you could give her a more generic answer.
Yeah, so I think ideally you should apply to firms that have a technology background or a tech focus if that's what you're looking at. These are firms that act on data protection matters, privacy matters, those kind of matters given your, background and qualification. I think these could be areas that you should look at, the tech practice of firms.
That's amazing. I think the previous session has now ended and students have been joining into, numbers are increasing. So we're good to start. Let me just welcome you all. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining in. I know it's been a busy and a long day, but you showing up here, it's proof of that you will be turning into. I'd like to really welcome Ramesh to the session. He's the managing partner at BTG Advaya, and he brings deep experience across corporate law, cross-border transactions, and advising businesses on growth and governance in India. I'm really looking forward to his perspective and the practical insights that he'll bring to this conversation.
Should I kick off?
Yes,
Yes.
Ramesh.
Thank you, Ekta. Thank you, Aditi. So I'm very happy to be here, sharing some thoughts on my own experience with job hunting initially, and then now being more of an employer, being on the other side. I've actually prepared, given the time constraint and the need to be more organized. I have prepared some slides. Maybe I can quickly go through them. And maybe I understand from Ikta that you can access these slides later if you need to. Yeah. So let me just quickly share my presentation with you. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet, Ramesh.
How about this now?
It isn't visible yet.
No.
I'm sure why.
Yes. Now I think something's coming. Yeah.
Okay, super. Okay, so I've actually approached this presentation from the perspective of you keep hearing different versions, right? About same day, same country. India's job market is broken. Somebody will say, and then you will see headlines saying top 50 companies are hiring aggressively. At some level, both are true, right? It's all about preparation. How do you prepare for this? So today, in my presentation, I'm going to talk about 5 myths. And I have also tried to add what not to do. And then I've also given some takeaways. What are the 7 action items that you can look at? Myth number 1, and I'll go through each of these myths in my different slides. Degree is equal to a job. That's myth number 1. Myth number 2, no jobs in India. Myth number 3, you must be in a metro to find a job. Myth number 4, AI steals our jobs. So let's go through each one of them, and then I'll, a degree guarantees a job. I think the answer is clearly no. If you look at it, 67% of unemployed youth in India are graduates, and nearly 40%, of this unemployed are actually graduates under 25. So, you are 80% of the employers now prioritize skills over degrees. So what is important is actually skills, not really degrees. We've heard about the Infosys and Wipro issue. For example, so many offer letters were withdrawn after 18 months. You had the degree in hand, offer letter in the inbox, but companies just decided not to pursue with it. So take away your degree opens the door. Your skills decide if you get to stay inside. I think that's the key part. Common mistakes students make post after graduation. Think the hard work ends at convocation. The market doesn't care about your, sorry to burst the balloon in that one. It really doesn't matter. Don't collect random certificates. We see certificates, applicants, 47 certificates from 12 platforms, 0 projects, and recruiters can easily spot this. So don't outsource job hunting to your placement cell. If you're still in campus, if your whole strategy is that my placement cell is going to take care of it, you're outsourcing the most important decision of your life to a committee that also has to organize the annual fest. They have no time for you. And don't CGPA as a personality. Oh, my CGPA is 9.4. Cool. What else? A red flag in interviews. Don't try to flaunt your CGPA. Do this instead. Build a portfolio. Use GitHub, case studies, create a personal website. Show, don't just tell, because it's important that prospective employers are able to look at what you've done. Second myth, there are no good jobs in India. This is a very dangerous myth, because this makes people give up even before they begin. You see, all this uncle says, "Try karo, kuch nahi milega," and then again uncle says, "Aajkal job hi nahi hai." So all these refrains you hear, right? So you have to be very careful. This is a myth. There are good jobs. Okay, what is the reality? GCC, probably most of you are familiar with GCC, Global Capability Centers, right? 5 lakh jobs being added in 2026 alone. There is a 25% job demand growth when it comes to AI. You see healthcare, tech, all of these are growing, right? You've seen Zepto, for example, started by two 19-year-olds 3 years back, grow from 0 to 5,000 employees in 3 years, right? I spoke about GCCs. We have 1,900 plus global capability centers: Google, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Earlier, if you remember, India would be the point for outsourcing call centers, more of the low-end outsourcing. Now it's become much more high-end, value-added outsourcing. So therefore, global capability centers. What's the key takeaway? Follow where the money is flowing, not where your relatives went. Read startup funding news. It's very, very important. Job search mistakes that guarantee failure. Like throwing chips in a river and complaining, you've seen this, right? The fish aren't biting. Customize, always. Don't target just Fortune 500 and MNCs. Again, another big mistake. Best growth right now is in Series B, C startups. The next Razorpay is out there and it's hiring. So don't keep looking, I want to be Nestle, I want to be in Hindustan Lever. No. Don't ignore sectors outside your degree, right? Your degree is your starting point, not your life sentence. You're not committed to it. Commerce graduates can be in fintech, science graduates can be in health tech, skills travel. Degrees don't have to. Okay, so this is an important key things to remember. Send the resume to every group. Please don't do that. Sending a data science resume to a sales executive role and a hedge fund using the same document. Recruiters notice. Recruiters reject. So please be mindful of who you are applying to, what you are applying to. Okay. And the key takeaway, do this instead. Research the company, tailor your resume, apply to 10 jobs well, not 300 jobs badly. That's the key part. Third myth, you must move to Mumbai, Delhi or Bangalore. Bangalore salary hike versus rent, net, you broke even. Congratulations. So this is the myth, right? 25% annual hiring growth in tier 2, tier 3 cities. It's 2x faster than metros. 88% of demand still in tier 1, but that's shifting fast. So some examples I've mentioned about Freshworks in Chennai. I mentioned about TCS delivery centers in Nagpur, Bhubaneswar, Lucknow. Please don't limit your search to 3 cities. Remote is real. Tier 2 is real. Cast a wider net. It's extremely critical. Don't do this, please. Relocate blindly with no plan. Moving to Bangalore with 20,000 rupees savings, no offer letter, and a couch to crash on is not a career strategy. That's a recipe for disaster. Don't assume remote work is dead. Many GCCs and product companies hire remotely. You need to be on the internet, not necessarily in the city. So that's the key part. Don't ignore your local network, city alumni networks, local industry events, WhatsApp job groups for your region. Deeply underused gold mines. Don't miss them. These are critical. And last, don't chase city prestige over career growth. 6 lakh CTC in Jaipur versus 8 lakh CTC in Bangalore. One's rent, commute, and quality of life are factored in. Do the maths yourself. So do this instead. Have an offer letter before you relocate. Research remote options first. Use your hometown network. I think all of these are critical. Myth number 4. AI will steal all our jobs. I asked AI to write a speech about AI stealing jobs. It wrote a brilliant one in 4 seconds. So, AI isn't coming for your job. Someone who uses AI is. I think that's the key part. You have to be the one using the AI. So what's the reality on myth 4? 25% AI talent demand growth in India year on year. 25% skills gap in AI and data, again up from 18% in 2023. 100% of fields now need AI fluency to lead. You see real examples, right? PhonePe, many of you may have seen the PhonePe job, post. Evaluates all candidates, including marketing, customer experience, on comfort with data and AI tools, not just engineers. Every recruiter now wants to know what is your AI skill, right? How can you use AI? So again, the key takeaway: spend 30 minutes every day for 1 month on AI tools in your field. You will be ahead of 80% of your peers. That's the key part. That's myth number 4. What are the AI mistakes that will cost you? Panic and buy an expensive AI course immediately. Not every 80,000 AI master's program is worth it. Start free first. Google, Coursera, YouTube. Validate first. Don't think AI is only for engineers. Marketing. Use AI for copy, analytics. Finance people use it for research. HR people use it for screening and JDs. Lawyers use it for document review. We do it every day. In fact, a lot of our jobs are slowly disappearing to AI in every field. Don't use AI as a replacement for thinking. Students who use AI to think for them will be outcompeted by those who use it to think better. So use AI to think better, not to think for you. Know your fundamentals for sure. And don't ignore AI and hope it goes away. People are still scared of AI but writing "Dear Sir, Madam" in cold emails. The irony runs deep. So just use AI. Do this instead. Pick one free AI tool this week. Use it daily for your field. Make it a habit and not a one-time experiment. That's myth number 4. I know I'm short of time. I'm going to quickly run through the 5th myth. Okay, what's myth 5? It's all about who you know. Connections matter, and every connection you have was once a stranger you chose to talk to. Nobody was born with a LinkedIn network. So what's the reality? 80% employers now prioritize skills over degrees. 54% female employability, higher than male. So that's something for you to keep note of. 11 crore plus Indians on LinkedIn. Second largest number globally. So look at people's success stories. Ritesh Agrawal of Oyo Rooms. LinkedIn India, for example, your most underused tool. Thousands of professionals land jobs, internships, mentorships, freelance work every month purely through the platform. I know of people who have actually landed jobs through LinkedIn or internships. A strong profile today beats a middleman referral. So you don't have to know people in organizations to land jobs. You have to just build a proper profile. So the key takeaway: build in public, share what you're learning, connect at least with 2 alumni this week. Relationships take time. Start now. Okay, what are the 5 don't do's? Ghost people after collecting cards. You went to a seminar, collected their card, sweet talked them, but never followed up. That's not networking. That's card collecting. Connect on LinkedIn and immediately ask for a job. Sir, please refer me as the first message. Give before you ask. Comment, engage, add value, then ask. Please don't blindly keep ticking like. It's not Facebook. On LinkedIn, you're expected to engage. You're supposed to comment. Wait for people to discover you. Please don't wait. You're not a Netflix original. You won't be recommended automatically. You have to show up every morning, online, at events, in communities. There's no escaping that. You don't think networking is only for extroverts. Send 2 thoughtful DMs per week. That's it. Introvert-friendly networking exists and works. So you don't have to be flamboyant and be an extrovert. Do this instead. Do update your LinkedIn today. Message at least 1 alumni. Comment on an industry post. Start small, but be consistent. Don't disappear for 10 days after starting. Yeah, that's consistency is very important. Okay, what not to do? I don't know how much. Are we okay on time, Ekta? I don't know if you can hear me, Ekta. Anyway, I'll continue until you stop me.
Yes, Ramesh, we still have 5 minutes. I think we can wrap up in 5.
Okay, fine. So a quick run of what not to do. The certificate collector, I've already spoken about this. The CGPA one trick pony, please don't do this. Apply clicker, apply to 100 applications. LinkedIn ghosting, we've spoken about all this. So I'm done some of these, you have you, so better to work this. Your seven step action plan, let me quickly run through this. Build a portfolio. Do somewhere, GitHub case studies, whatever. Intern in year 1, not year 4. Do it fast and early. Get AI literate in 30 days, extremely critical. Think beyond the metros. You don't have to be in Delhi, Mumbai. Follow the hot sectors. Get one good certification, not 100. Just get one good one. Be visible online now. Now is the time. Last parting words, India's job market doesn't reward those who just show up with a degree. It rewards those who show up with skills, proof of work, and the willingness to keep learning. The opportunity is real, the competition is real, and you, with the right preparation, are ready for it. And postscriptum, update your LinkedIn profile before your parents update your shadi.com profile. Get your priorities right. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Ramesh. I absolutely agree to you where you were talking about these days, gone are those days where trust was built through long lasting friendships. I think trust now is built through showing up on somebody's feed constantly. And that definitely works. Yes, there are a few questions. Asta, would you like to pick them out in the shortest of our time? If you could, let's say, pick top 3 and we could take it from
Yeah,
there.
maybe more than people specific questions. Maybe if it's more generic, maybe that will answer people.
There was this very interesting question where somebody's asked, if skills matter more than a degree, how can a candidate better demonstrate those skills beyond what is reflected on a academic background? Of course, I think it's a very good point.
Yeah, I think that's the point I had spoken about. As many projects as you can show, as many internships, right? So a lot of the, for example, when we interview, for example, for a lawyer role in our firm, we don't really actually get carried away by somebody's done an LLM in some foreign university or somebody's CGPA. We keep asking, what did you do beyond your academics? Did you do moot courts? Did you do, for example, what sort of articles did you write? What sort of projects did you contribute to? I think that's exactly the answer to your question. So skills as in, have you learned skills of research, skills of communication, and all of these projects would reflect some of those skill sets. That's what we're looking for. And please don't write cover email through AI. I see cover emails written by AI and it's so flowery and people, say, look at, let's say I'm applying to Mr. Ramesh, so let me, they're asking ChatGPT to prepare an email referencing Mr. Ramesh's background and what he has done in the past. So that's a complete giveaway. Don't even do that.
There was someone who was asking of resource for statistics. Where can they get those? And if you could help them in some relevant.
I don't know if I understood the question. Resource for statistics, as in, you have to be very careful about using AI. You can use AI as a starting point for any statistical research, if that's the question. But I think you must definitely cross-check whatever you are looking at, because we, at least in legal field, are seeing a lot of hallucinations. A lot of the statistics are not backed by anything scientific. So if it's not, there is no attribution of source, I would not take it seriously.
Anyone else? Anything that you would like to ask before we end? How student leadership experience can help candidates to land a job in Indian consultancies or advisories?
Well, very much. Actually, that's leadership skills are extremely critical, and you must highlight them in your resume. You must also bring it up, even if the interviewer doesn't ask this question. You must find a way to bring it up as part of the conversation. That's exactly the kind of, because leadership is not just about leading. It's about actually accommodating different viewpoints, teamwork. All of those skill sets are part of leadership. So if you've been a leader and you've been a leader of something substantial, I think your leadership, your ability to accommodate different viewpoints is extremely, and you're receptive to learning, you're a good listener. All of that is assumed. So you must find a way to basically demonstrate that in your written resume as well as in your interview.
For students with LLMs and no tier 1 and tier 2 internships, what should their starting point be?
It's a tough one because most organizations don't want to hire you as a year one or year two internships. But I think that's where you have to make that application a little more interesting as to how well you know the organization, how you can contribute, to some of these things. So it's extremely critical that the application is more interesting. You have to make it interesting in the first two paras. Your application cannot be too long that people get don't want to read further. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say.
We'll take one last question if anyone has. I think we're done. We're done, Ramesh. Thank
Sorry,
you so much.
I can see a lot of questions on internships. There are no straightjacket answers. I think the key is to basically apply with a not apply randomly to different places, but choose 2, 3 good firms or areas that you want to focus on and write customized applications after doing necessary background research. That's what I would say. Happy to, if there's anything, Aditi, in terms of help anyone needs, if you can consolidate those, and happy to actually see where we may be able to help.
Yes, I have Rohit, but I would recommend Rohit to reach out to you on LinkedIn because he had a very detailed question for you, and I think we are short on time. So, Rohit, if you can hear us, please reach out to Ramesh on LinkedIn, and maybe that would be a better platform as we're short on time. But thank you so much, Ramesh, for your time, your insight.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for everyone. Yeah, thanks for organizing this.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All the best. All the best to all the job seekers.
Much. Thank you, Ramesh sir.
Thank
Just
you.
a note for all students who have joined in. After this session, we'll be having a break, a half an hour break for the sessions. You can join the next session at the next session goes live at 12:45 BST. So see you there. Thank you.